Grant will be in court tomorrow along with the 2 other boys, and I'm obviously pretty positive that under the circumstances we are going to have a good result tomorrow. Hopefully my son will be home with me soon.
Now, Grant was on holiday, is that right, with his 2 friends, and they were stopped by the police? Is that how it all started?
Unfortunately, yes. He went to holiday in Dubai. He was only there for 4 days when he was unfortunately arrested.
Did the police have any kind of backstory as to why they were suspicious of Grant and his 2 friends, Sanit and Carl? Was there any explanation given of why they stopped them, arrested them, let alone the treatment that you say they also underwent after that?
Yes. Unfortunately not. That is one of the questions that our defence lawyer did put forward in the court, and the CID officer was unable to answer that question when he was asked by our defence in the court.
But how likely is it that your son Grant and these 2 other men were carrying synthetic drugs and that they were planning to distribute them to other expats in Dubai? How likely is that?
I think it's very unlikely. There were a lot of other people that were accused of similar allegations around about the same time, and I think it's important to note also that this alleged drug was only made illegal in Dubai about 9 days prior to my son being arrested.
You've been working, I gather, with the Foreign Office. You've obviously got legal advice out there. The Foreign Office, you've asked and others have asked the Foreign Office to put pressure on the UAE and on the authorities there. Thus far, it doesn't seem that that's achieved much of a result. What sort of stories, what are the Foreign Office telling you about their experiences of dealing with the police in the Emirates?
Unfortunately, they've not said an awful lot. We do know that the authorities have denied all allegations that the boys have made. The Foreign Office have said that the information that the UAE authorities have reported back is insufficient, and we are pressing for an independent inquiry. We'd also like a doctor to be able to come in and examine the boys, and I'm pretty confident that if this was allowed, there will be evidence of the alleged torture still present.
Have you been able to speak to Grant?
Bodies.
Have you been able to speak to Grant, Tracy?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. I spoke to Grant about 2 hours ago. He's in good spirits. He's obviously preparing for going into court early in the morning. He did manage a game of football today, and generally speaking, I'm very proud of the way my son's conducted himself through this awful ordeal.
What sort of conditions has he been kept in? I mean, I gather from you saying that you spoke to him today, have you been able to speak to him regularly over the last few months?
Yes, I have. I've visited him last week. He's just been transferred to Alawiyah prison in Dubai. I did have a conversation with Grant for about 2 hours. He's also been treated very well at Port's police station, where he was detained for 9 months. Unfortunately, you know, it is harsh conditions. He is in prison at the end of the day. But my biggest concern is the torture, quite barbaric torture, by a few mindless CID officers when he was initially arrested.
And that seems really strange, because everything else you're telling me seems to suggest he's been pretty well looked after. So what does Grant say these CID officers did to him?
Unfortunately, when he was initially arrested, the 3 boys were separated, handcuffed, put into cars and driven in the desert. It did appear that the CID officers were using different tactics to try and disorientate the boys. They were beaten whilst handcuffed in separate cars, beaten around the head, guns were held to their head, and they received various taser injuries as well. After being in the desert for some time, they were then taken back to their hotel room, where they were separated once again, and I can only say that the treatment got a lot more severe. Grant did manage to tell the CID officer that was beating him that he was diabetic. He is not diabetic. He used this tactic to try and get the CID officers to stop beating them, and I think it did have a certain level of success.
Okay. Tracy Cameron, thanks
as
very
a
much.
mother, obviously.
Indeed, indeed. Tracy Cameron, thanks very much indeed for joining us, and good luck with the case and the hearing and the verdict tomorrow as well. Thanks for joining us tonight on Sky News.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for your time. Thank you.